Happy Friday, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on UpNorthLive Unscripted at 6:30. I am Maya Engel, and here we are on October 11th, and it was a hot day across a lot of areas around northern Michigan. Not just warm, but hot. Some areas like Traverse City, we saw 80 degrees today. So while that was nice, that also does bring a risk for fire danger. So for more on that, let's bring in our chief meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix. Hey, Joe.
Yeah, there is that risk, and we still have a red flag warning for all of our lower peninsula counties until, well, what is it, 6:30, another hour and a half until 8 o'clock for critical fire danger. But we are going to see an improvement in that, though, Maya. It's going to cool down tomorrow, and later in the weekend, the chance for a little rain, too. But one more thing, we didn't have any reports of really any fires, at least that I've heard anything big. So
knock on wood.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll take a look at that. We need rain. And I think the best chance that we've had in maybe a few weeks rolls in later in the weekend. We'll have that in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Joe. And the Michigan DNR is also urging people to be very cautious as fire danger is high right now. The DNR says most of the state is abnormally dry, and especially the Upper Peninsula. Small fires across the Upper Peninsula have ignited over the past few days. Most of them are in Marquette County, and the largest burning almost 10 acres of land north of the Dead River Basin. There have been 26 wildfires in Michigan just last week that have burned more than 170 acres. So we talked with the DNR Forest Fire Supervisor today, and here's what he had to say about the current conditions.
If you have any burning planned to hold off, we do expect some precip coming, and obviously winter's coming. That's an ideal time to burn. These high winds, a lot of dry fuels, haven't had a lot of precip this year, so just holding off until we get some measurable rain or at least appreciable rain.
And permits for burning debris are currently restricted for most locations in northern Michigan. The DNR says that if you are planning to burn, though, build fires after 6 p.m. and have a garden hose nearby in case the fire escapes the ring. And like Joe mentioned, we are going to see some better conditions moving forward to hopefully bring down that elevated fire danger risk. So we have an update tonight on a story that we first shared with you on Wednesday. We also went into more detail on it last night on our 6:30 Unscripted show. So we know that a 27-year-old Charlevoix man was arrested in Antrim County for stealing political campaign signs. But we do have, and that was discovered because someone put an air tag on one of the signs, and that's how the sheriff's office deputies were able to find who stole the signs. However, we heard from a couple, Tony and Kylie Magnus, and they told us that before they found the signs at their neighbor's house, detectives were at their door questioning them about the stolen signs. Allie Baxter has more on what they said happened.
When there are police swarming your house a lot of the day, it causes some attention.
It was a quiet afternoon for Tony and Kylie Magnus in their Charlevoix home until
I was actually on a work call. They came in and walked up to the front porch up there and rapped really heavily on the front door. We don't usually access through that door, so I came out the back here into this porch and I sort of came out and said, "Yes, can I help you?"
A joint team of Charlevoix and Antrim County detectives were waiting for Tony outside, where they asked him if he knew anything about the theft of political signs.
And of course I said no. And then he proceeded to tell me that they had a tracker that was showing that was actually, they were here at this house.
While detectives began a search for the signs, Kylie was still upstairs.
Sort of getting dressed, she was moving around, and that sort of piqued their interest. So they said, "Well, she seems to be moving around a lot." And I said, "Well, she's getting dressed." And then one of the officers said, "Well, when I get dressed, I usually just stand still."
Kind of insinuated that I was upstairs hiding evidence, saying things like, "Well, why you're allegedly getting dressed upstairs," and things like that.
Tony and Kylie say detectives insisted the stolen signs had to be in their home because the Apple AirTag they were tracking said it was there.
They went upstairs, they went through everything. I could hear them opening my drawers. I don't know if you've ever had anybody look through all your personal belongings. It's highly invasive. It's awful.
And while that was happening, they were then showing me the video of, obviously somebody had a trail cam or something on some signs being stolen. They said, "Do you know this person?" And it clearly wasn't me or Kylie.
I mean, you could clearly see it wasn't either of us. And it had footage of their car.
Yeah.
And it clearly wasn't our car either.
Tony and Kylie say detectives were at their home searching for a few hours while they had the owner of the AirTag show up to see if he could track a more accurate location. That location ended up being next door to Tony and Kylie, where detectives spotted the signs through a window.
They kind of came to the back door, but they didn't say what I was expecting. I expected, we're so sorry, we completely got this wrong, but never fear, we've made an arrest and thank you for your cooperation. Nothing like that.
Tony and Kylie say they don't want the same thing happening to somebody else.
This has been a big issue in the community, and I understand I wouldn't want people doing that on my property. Everybody knows what's wrong and what's right. Nobody should be stealing signs. Nobody should be trespassing. Nobody should be damaging anything. I understand all of that. But it just is frightening how we found ourselves in that situation because of that technology.
Tony and Kylie say they're concerned the AirTag was considered a probable enough cause to issue a warrant for their property.
Is that enough for a warrant these days? Apparently it is.
And Allie is joining us live now from our newsroom with more on this story. And just to kind of give folks some context. So Allie, obviously this is a story that you worked on today. That was your story that you wrote and edited. But this was a story that originally Daniel Zivian reported on yesterday. Then he went and talked to the couple. But today, Allie, you put the story together and you also talked with the Antrim County Sheriff's Office, right?
Right. And obviously a major shout out to Daniel because he was able to talk with Kylie and Tony last night and get their perspective about what happened. Today, we were able to reach out to the sheriff's office to see, did they have a comment about this? And it took us some time during the day to even figure out, what sheriff's office showed up at Tony and Kylie's house because they do live in Charlevoix County. So it took a little bit of detective work on our end to be able to figure out which agency was even at their home in the first place. And we discovered it was Charlevoix and Antrim County detectives that were there.
Gotcha. And then what did they say about this whole situation?
Yeah, I actually reached out to the Antrim County Sheriff's Office. The sheriff was busy in meetings today, but this is what the undersheriff sent us, and I'm going to go ahead and read that. He sent us this statement in an email, and it's that our detectives were acting in good faith on the evidence they had. As it turns out, the stolen property was located in the building right next door, about 20 to 30 feet away. The search of the first home was not contentious and done in a respectful, considerate manner. We regret for interrupting the first homeowner's day. So that's what we heard from the Antrim County Sheriff's Office today.
And do you know, did the couple see this statement at all?
We haven't reached out to them yet to know if they had seen this or not. We aired this for the first time tonight in our 6 p.m. Maybe we'll be able to connect with Daniel on Monday to see if they were able to see it.
Right, because it's interesting. That statement says that they conducted their search in a respectful way, where Tony and Kylie kind of say it wasn't very respectful in their opinion.
Exactly. And Tony and Kylie both insinuated to Daniel in their interview together that they honestly felt really intimidated by the detectives that showed up at their home. They felt like they were kind of made out to be liars, and they understand that they were doing their job and they were cooperative. They wanted the detectives to be able to come in and search for what they needed to. But at the same time, they said we just felt a massive amount of our privacy was violated, and all in the end that the AirTag wasn't even in our home. That's a big part of this discussion, is that the Apple AirTag said it was in Kylie and Tony's home, and it wasn't. It was next door, and they felt like they at least probably deserved an apology for the detectives that were there all day long, talking with them, asking them if they had these campaign signs when really clearly they didn't.
And let's talk a little bit more about that technology that led deputies to their home. That's an Apple AirTag. So I know, Allie, you have an Apple AirTag. So
I do.
For those folks who maybe don't know what that is, can you kind of explain that to them?
Yeah, so this is an AirTag right here. This is actually my own personal AirTag that I put in my luggage or my backpack that I use for work. And so the point of the AirTag, and this is what somebody used, this is what they put in their campaign sign to be able to track to see if it would be stolen again. And the point of it is you're supposed to, if you're an Apple product user, you're able to put your AirTag in something and it's able to track, if you have your luggage in the airport, for say, or if, your backpack is stolen. It's supposed to show you exactly where that is because you have this little location tracker inside whatever you decide to put it in. So that's what this person in Antrim County, I believe the homeowner was in Bel Air, he had put one inside a campaign sign. So then when it was taken again, he got the Antrim County Sheriff's Office involved and said, actually put an Apple AirTag inside one of my signs so you guys can actually track wherever they went. And that was our original story that we reported earlier this week, that they were able to track it to a home in Charlevoix County that had 72 of these political campaign signs there. And unfortunately, Tony and Kylie were gone to first, thinking that the signs were there. And really, it was off by about 10 to 20 feet because the homes were pretty close together in that neighborhood that they live in Charlevoix County. And it ended up being their neighbor's house that all these signs were in.
And we know that Apple AirTags are not 100% accurate all the time. They kind of show more of a general area of where that item could be. And Allie, you were telling me earlier that you've used them for luggage, and when your luggage gets pretty far away from you, it doesn't even tell you the exact location, right?
Exactly. And I don't know if maybe I have like kind of a defective AirTag, because I can't even get mine to show where my backpack is if I, drive to work in the morning and I leave my backpack here at the station and I go off to a story. It'll say I have left my AirTag behind, but it won't say exactly where I left that AirTag. So I don't know like how different AirTags work, but it doesn't seem like that technology is always super dependable, which is what Tony and Kylie expressed a concern with, that, they were a little bit concerned that a probable cause was issued for that search warrant on their property just over, hey, this AirTag seems to be in our home in these stolen signs.
Well, another interesting thing is not only did they have the AirTag, but they had some sort of surveillance video of a car and a person. So you would think with that information as well, they would kind of be able to determine that it wasn't Kylie and Tony, but rather their neighbor.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Tony and Kylie pointed out as well. They said they could see that, they said the camera was like a trail cam type video, and they said it was very clearly not us. It was neither of us like going up to take these signs, and it also wasn't their cars at all. In the full interview that Daniel did with Kylie and Tony, they said we don't even have that same color car at all. So they said we don't really know why just the Apple AirTag alone was enough to come into our home.
Right. Anything else you want to say about this story, Allie?
I would just say, again, just a thank you to Daniel. He was able to talk with Kylie and Tony yesterday when they reached out to us after we reported the story. They wanted to make sure that this perspective was shared as well.
All right, Allie, thanks so much for joining us. And by the way, the 27-year-old who was arrested, Tony and Kylie's neighbor, is facing a charge of larceny and concealing stolen property. So we have a question of the day today that is not at all related to those first stories that we shared with you. It's more related to sports. So let's turn things over to our question of the day. Of course, the Tigers played in Game 4 yesterday against the Guardians, and unfortunately, they lost at home to the Guardians in Game 4. So we have a Game 5 that will be happening on Saturday at 1 p.m. So we want to know, how confident are you that the Tigers will beat the Guardians in Game 5 of the ALDS? So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, how confident are you? Looks like most people, 37%, they are very confident. They say a 5. So you can scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote, and we will continue to look at these results as the show continues and pull this up again in sports. And you can also join in on the conversation by going to our Up North Live Facebook page. You can leave a comment on our live stream of this unscripted show on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll read some of those later. But it's nice to see that 37% are very, very confident in the Tigers. Honestly, I'm going to vote right now. I'm going to say a 4. I wish I could say a 5, but I'm just a little nervous, like I'm sure most people are. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll check back in with Joe Charlevoix. He'll have much more on your weekend forecast, so stay with us.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, if you have any weekend plans, you're probably curious what the weather's going to be like if you want to get outside this weekend. So let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix. Joe, you mentioned we could see some much needed rain sometime this weekend.
Yeah. What are your plans this weekend?
Well, going to be watching the Tigers game tomorrow, of course.
That's a given, yeah.
Yeah, and then watching the Lions on Sunday, and who knows what's in between.
Gosh, that's something else, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it'll rain. It looks like Sunday afternoon is kind of when most of that comes in. By the way, I went out. My sister's in town visiting, so her and her friend Matt want to say hi.
Hi, sister and Matt.
That's right. Meet Maya. Yeah. Let's start off though. We talked earlier about fire danger, and it's still a bit of a concern. You can see that. So all of our lower peninsula counties are under a red flag warning, which is for critical fire danger. And that's for about another hour until 8 o'clock. We've had gusty winds. Of course, the lack of rain recently. We have very dry fuel. And temperatures today skyrocketed into the 70s and 80s, which is well above normal. We are starting to cool down a little bit. If you notice up in the UP, Newberry is down to 56 right now. That's because a cold front is dropping in here. Although Manistee still hanging on at 73 and Alpena here at 72. But the trend tonight is for temperatures to drop back into the 30s and 40s. We mentioned the fire danger. It's been windy. Our strongest winds to the north, Sault Ste. Marie, these are the peak gusts right now, gusting at Sanderson Field there to 37 miles per hour. That's why we had that fire danger. Sheboygan winds there gusting to 30 and close to that currently at Gaylord. There's our front. We penciled it in right there, crossing through northern Michigan. Behind that, we'll get a little bit of a break tomorrow in the weather. And then we mentioned that chance for some rain sliding in here as we head into Sunday. Now, we did have a little round of showers ahead of our front. Here's radar. So Cadillac, Houghton Lake, you had a little rain. It's been a while since we've had much. And this is all that's left. This is heading down toward the Midland, Bay City, Tri-Cities area, and out of our viewing area as we head through the next hour or two. Skies are going to rapidly clear out tonight. Now, tomorrow, a nice day, although clouds are going to increase. And, you know, if you're down around Ludington, Cadillac, you might even get an afternoon shower or two. I wouldn't worry too much late tomorrow about rain, but it's possible, especially into the afternoon. And then on Sunday, this is when that best chance for rain gets in here. So low pressure is going to kind of peel in here. There's, you know, you see the clock up there, 1, 2 o'clock Sunday. Maya's going to be watching the Lions. Well, you know what? Let's go. There's 4 o'clock right there for you. Packers have the Cardinals this weekend. And there's a look at that rain. But yeah, we need some. And there's that rain sliding through here Sunday afternoon and then into Monday, a few showers. If you're wondering how much, you know, it depends where this actually sets up, but possibly up to an inch of rain in some areas. And it's been a while since we've had that much. If you're maybe want to check out some of the fall color, here's where we stand with that. Sault Ste. Marie in the eastern UP, close to peak now. Petoskey, Traverse City regions, 25 to 75% color, roughly based on reports. And then Houghton Lake in that 50 to 75 percentile. Here's our forecast for the weekend, just in a nutshell. Tomorrow, 55 to 63, increasing clouds, a couple showers in lower Michigan. Temperatures near normal, but a lot cooler than today. Sunday, much needed rain arrives in the afternoon, highs in the 50s. And then look at Monday and Tuesday. It'll be the coolest weather since, well, fall started, highs in the 40s with a few showers. Couple days of that, and then we warm right back up Thursday and Friday, Maya.
So it sounds like tonight may not be the last warm Friday night for football. Hopefully we'll have.
Yeah, it looks like next week, not bad.
Perfect.
Once again.
Well, speaking of Friday night football, Harrison Beebe is live at one of those big matchups tonight. So we'll check in with him to get a full lineup of all the action happening tonight coming up in sports. Well, on this Friday night, we have another exciting night of high school football matchups. One of those big matchups, Marquette in Petoskey. That's where we find our sports director, Harrison Beebe, who's joining us live now, right before kickoff. Hey, Harrison.
Right before, and yeah, you and Joe were talking about the weather being great for another Friday. I'm not gonna lie, I'm in short sleeves, but I'm a little chilly tonight. I won't lie. And, I should have thought the sun sets by basically kickoff now, so wouldn't have hurt to have a long sleeve like I did at Comerica on Wednesday. But so be it. We're journalists. We're tough. We roll through the conditions, just like a 6-0 football team. We're ready to go for 7-0, and that's what Petoskey's hoping to do tonight. Marquette is a tough opponent, though, probably the toughest they've faced all year. Both are 4-0 in the Big North Conference, so tonight's winner will control their own destiny. Here, I believe they each only have one more conference game to play after this, so as long as they don't trip their toe in that, the winner tonight will be hoisting up the BNC title. I'm pretty confident, at least to share. But a loaded night. You're going to be at Thoroughbred Field once again, checking out TC West and Mount Pleasant. That should be an intriguing one. Mount Pleasant, a little down compared to what they've usually been. I think they've been the conference champion in the Saginaw Valley the last 2 years, but now they look a little more beatable. We'll see. It's a good test for West, as West gets all home games here on out. The Patriot game is technically a road game for them in 2 weeks, but as we all know, that is only in Traverse City. National anthem. But yeah, we got a couple good games. East Jordan hosting Harbor Springs. I know Mansalona and Charlevoix. That could be an intriguing matchup. We know Charlevoix's good. Mancelona's proven to have a pretty good year as well. And downstate, Traverse City, St. Francis, and Jackson and McChristie are meeting up. These two teams met in state finals 2 years ago, so they know what it's like to win. And it's a good test for both teams to be a part of that matchup.
Brent Harrison, thanks so much for joining us. We'll let you go before you miss kickoff, and we will have highlights of all those exciting matchups tonight at 11 for Hometown Highlights. We're going to take another quick commercial break, but we'll check back in with our question of the day and the live results in just a few minutes.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Well, tomorrow is Game 5 of the ALDS between the Tigers and the Guardians. In case you missed it, The original start time was 8 o'clock. It has been switched to 1 o'clock due to weather. So we want to know, how confident are you that the Tigers can beat the Guardians in Game 5? So far, 36% gave it a 5. They are very confident. 10% said only 1. Maybe those are Guardian fans, or maybe they just don't have faith in our Tigers. Let's see. 8% said 2. 23% said 3. So on and so on. Scan that QR code on your screen right now to vote. And don't forget to join us tonight on Up North Live News at 11. Take care, everyone.